First and foremost, folks, I'd like to go ahead and congratulate. I want to go ahead and congratulate the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans for the win. You know, for playing a good game. And secondly, I want to reiterate the fact that I told you so, folks. I told you so. Remember back during the last episode of Fifth Down? What was it, episode 4, for Christ's sake? I was predicting that the Buccaneers would beat the Eagles. See, I told you so. I knew something like this would happen. I told you so. But you know what? I want to give a special round of applause to our world-renowned Super Bowl winning quarterback, Nick Foles. Good job, Nick. You went out there and you competed, all right? You showed up for work. Yes, of course, we did a bit of a shit job in the second half. Let me open my drink. I'm going to drown my sorrows in this monster here. You know, I can't... God damn it. Fuck! No! 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 God damn it! I can't particularly be mad at the Eagles. No! Can't be mad at the Eagles particularly. But it took us a while, but Jesus Christ, folks. I'm sorry. I'm yelling. I'm kind of screaming. I'm upset that my fucking team lost. All right? I'm a little upset. I'm a little depressed. All right? The Eagles lose and I get depressed. All right? But as I was saying before, I can't be mad at the Eagles particularly. Yes, we did a shit job in the first half. We need to work on finding our legs. That's what we need to do. We need to work on finding our bearings. We can't afford to take an entire half of the game to find our fucking legs, all right? We can't afford to keep playing shittily in the first half like this. We could have scored a fucking touchdown in the first quarter. We could have had the game! But no. Instead, Foles in the... Look, I'm not gonna get mad at you over the second half. Because during the second half, you know, after halftime, you went out there, you looked just fine, Eagles. You looked just fine. You looked okay, all right? They looked fine. They were racking up points. We almost came back. I think in the second half, we did okay. We did just fine. But the first half, holy shit. Remember last week against the Falcons when we did a shit job in the first half and the halftime rolled around, we went out there and we finally managed to find our legs and show up for work? We have to show up for work right out the gate. We can't take half of the game to score points. We can't do that. All right? Let me explain to you how this works, all right? Let me explain to you, all right, how this works. In football, you've got 4 15-minute quarters in the regulation game. 4 15-minute quarters in the regulation game. In which to attempt to score more points than your opponent. That's an hour's worth of play. I mean, and that's not even counting timeouts or penalties or now granted you want as few penalties called against you as possible. You don't want any penalties. When you get a penalty against you, that's bad. But that's not counting the timeouts, the penalties. Hell, when the quarter ends, there's a brief little period of respite, all right? Between quarters, you got your rest periods between quarters. You've got your halftime. So that's a lot of time. So I understand where you're coming from. We've got a lot of time to try to win. But that's not the right attitude to have. You got to go in thinking, okay, we got to show up for work and take the opposition seriously. Show up for work and take the opposition seriously, and I mean fucking seriously. Remember what you did in the Super Bowl last year? Remember how you guys played in the Super Bowl last year? That was fucking glorious. But you can't just... The Super Bowl, at least, you didn't take half of the game to stumble around like a chicken with its fucking head cut off trying to find your legs. You can't do that in football. You got to show up for work, and you got to put the pressure on them early in the game. Ideally during the first quarter. And I know, fellow Eagles fans, hey, I know what you're going to say. I know you guys, all right? I know you guys. You're going to say things like, oh, gee, Plague, we almost came back. Come on, you can't be this upset. Well, I am this upset because we could have had the game if we just come to work earlier in the game. We showed up for work. That's not the problem. We went out there and competed, and during the second half, I think we looked just fine. That's not the problem. The problem is we showed up for work too late. It's like it's kind of like not showing up for work until your lunch break or after your lunch break. You can't do it. You have to show up for work right away and get shit done right away. You can't just laze around for half the game, staring at the moon with your fucking finger up with your mouth open. You can't just do that. You don't stare at the moon for half the game. Because for the first half of this game, we were just staring at the fucking moon. 20-7 in the first half, gentlemen. 20-7. Real nice. And now that I'm done talking about this game, which could have been a lot worse, it wasn't entirely a fiasco. We lost by a touchdown, and well, I can't really complain about the score. Tampa 27, Birds 21. Tampa 27, Birds 21. I can't really complain about the end result. I mean, I can complain that we lost, but if we just scored an extra touchdown, an extra point earlier in the game, we could have had the game. That's why I'm so pissed off and so angry. I mean, I'm not hollering at the players. I'm not yelling at the players. I'm yelling at the situation. Okay, I kind of am yelling at the players because they showed up for work too late. You need to show up for work early on and get shit done early on, or people won't take you seriously. You'll lose the fucking game. But hey, despite this loss, all right, hey, it's only week 2. We can still, we've got some time to find our legs, pull our heads out of our asses. And I'm reading that next week we're on the right track to get Wentz back. We're on the right track to get the Wentzinator back. So Carson Wentz may be coming back next week. Alshon Jeffrey may be coming back next week. And those are our top guys right there. Nothing against Foles. I got nothing against Nick Foles. I still believe in Foles. He just didn't give it quite enough. He just didn't give it enough oomph today. We didn't give it enough oomph. We need to get a bigger pair of balls between our legs and give it more oomph if we want to win games. And I think that if Wentz and Jeffrey come back next week, then that'll give us the oomph and the energy jab that we need to start winning games and fucking making the enemy's heads roll once again. All right? So don't get me wrong. I'm still an Eagles fan, and I'll be an Eagles fan until the day I die. But, folks, we really need... I like Foles, but we need Wentz back, and we need Jeffrey back. We need you, Carson Wentz! We need Wentz back, and we need Jeffrey back. God damn it! Where are Wentz and Jeffrey? When are they going to heal up? I need you! I need you, for Christ's sake! The first half was horrible. We should have came on that field and went to work earlier. You can't laze around during the first half. The first half is when to score the big points. Tampa knew this, but we didn't, and that's why we lost. Because Tampa had their heads in the game early. Learn from the Buccaneers, Philly. Learn from these people. Don't just mope around all week. Learn from these people. Get your heads in the game early. Ideally, as soon as you step onto that field. Well, now that I'm done, I think I'm done talking about this game. However, I want to discuss next week. Now, I'm down, but I'm not particularly out. I'm not as depressed as I could be because, folks, next week, it's Indianapolis. It's the Colts. The freaking Colts next week. Now, I think that next week will probably be an easy win, all right, against the Colts if we get our heads in the game early. What Doug Peterson needs to do is he needs to sit his men down and say, hey, we lost because our heads weren't in the game as early as they should have been. We need to get our heads in the game early and realize that we're playing football against a football team, and we need to beat this opposing football team and win the football game, and we need to realize that early. And I think tomorrow, we don't play tomorrow. Next week, I think next week should be an easy win. We're playing the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are a shitty team, all right? I think we should win easily against these guys. Don't underestimate them. Get your heads in the game early. And if we get fucking Wentz and Jeffrey, if we get Carson Wentz and Alshon Jeffrey back, if we get Carson Wentz and Alshon Jeffrey back, next week won't only be an easy win, but heads are going to roll, you sons of bitches. Heads are going to roll if we get Wentz and Jeffrey back. So I am on my knees praying, begging that Carson Wentz and Alshon Jeffrey come back. Because once we get those guys back, I think we're going to get our fucking teeth back. All right? So, hey, it's no big deal. We lost against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I predicted this would happen during 5th down. No big deal. We'll get them next week. It's just the Colts. We should be okay. All right, I think we're going to be okay, especially if we get our head in the game early. We have to get our heads in the game early. We can't just laze around for the first half, all right, Philly? So, what can I say? We lost. We'll get them next week, all right? That's it.